All right, before we get into all the Nashville shenanigans, you'll notice sitting over here, there's a little something I did want to talk about for at least a few minutes. And that really is a ship that I just finished building, which is my Gorn Eviscerator. Now, I know a lot of people already have this ship. A lot of you unlocked it last week. Probably played with it all weekend if you were getting it free to play. But just in case there's people out there who don't have this yet, if you just turned 40 or if you're still in your 30s, I kind of wanted to just go through the basics of it. Apparently, I have a reputation to protect as being the analytical guy when it comes to content creation. We'll talk more about that later too, where that comes from. Yeah, this is 100% free to play. Um, just doing the Thursday events. Those events show up when you are Ops 40. Every Thursday you will get an event. You can complete that event by killing Gorn hostiles. It will give you a total of 14 blueprints, which means it takes you 13 weeks, 14 weeks, something like that, to get enough to actually build the ship free to play. This is a little snippet telling you what the ship can do and its special abilities. I know we've talked about that stuff before, but we'll talk a little bit more about it. But the first thing we're going to do here, that and I'm the push-up guy? Yeah. So let's go down here. Let's find our Eviscerator. Not very powerful to start with right out the gate, right? Hypodermics, you missed a week. You won't have it till this Thursday. Well, then perfect. Here's a sneak preview of what you're looking at here. You're getting an Eviscerator right out the box, base 1 here. It has a isolytic damage against Gorn by 200% is its starting value, and increasing the amount of Apex Isomatter, it's one of the 2 currencies you get, by 5,000. Now, if we want to go look real quick at our stfc.space, let's go look at our Eviscerator. And we'll just look at kind of how this scales up these ship abilities, because you've got 2 of them, right? So we're starting at here, even at level 1, it's 200%. Just taking it to level 5 takes it up to 300%. So before you even go kill anything, you're probably going I would honestly just do the leveling. Just use the ship XP, because you're going to take it from 200% to 300%. You're also going to unlock your first below deck officer slot, which is pretty good. And then the second ability here, the Apex Isomatter, you get 5,000 bonus, goes up to a 6,200% bonus. You're getting 1,200% more loot before you even go do anything with the ship. So we're going to do that right out of the right away. This is step 1. It's just I'm just going to spend the ship XP. Hopefully you can time it for when there's actually a ship XP event. And now I've just taken my abilities up to 300% and 6,200%. And I haven't even done anything with ship parts yet. So I'm already getting a pretty significant bonus right out of the box with it. You're going to have new refinery options here. Normally you had this Eviscerator refinery, which you are using your Apex Isomatter. This is the one that the Gorn gives you the bonus against. You see right here my chest start, 500 for 1, and then it's 2 for the price of 3, or 3 chests for the price of 5. Still giving you these same little bits of various parts. But now I'm getting, every one I kill, instead of getting like 15, I'm getting 6,200% more. So we're going to be accumulating quite a bit of this. And it should let you do multiple chest pulls without doing a lot of grinding. Now the Eviscerator doesn't give you more of the volatile Isomatter, which is what you need for the other refinery options you've been using, unless you do a research ability. But even then, probably not all that great of an enhancement. The feature people like the most about this ship is this extra refinery, which now lets you source some of these new strange new worlds officers. All of the ones that we got the last couple months, including Nurse Chapel, who looks absolutely nothing like her character in person. No blonde hair. She was wearing glasses, long red hair, not shoulder length. So she does a very good job changing her appearance to fit the character of the show. You can also get Mbenga. You can get the Kirk boys, and Pelia is also available here. Pelia is a significant officer, boosting your isolytic defense below decks, and that's just against anything, whether it's PvE or PvP. So Pelia is a pretty good officer to work on getting as well. So you have some options here. We're just going to go ahead. Let's do a 2 chest pull. See what kind of officers we get. We got 2 Sam Kirks. Okay. You also have new ship part based on the tier of your Eviscerator. Right now it's currently giving me G4 parts, and it's only offering me common parts. This will change as I level up, and as you see over here, the G5 ship parts exchange doesn't kick in until I get my Eviscerator to tier 7. But it would be another method of sourcing ship parts to help you with those grinds. There is also this Axion Engine over here, which you'll need to get components at certain ops levels to keep tiering the ship up. Yeah, so we're going to get the ship up a little bit. We're going to skip this kind of stuff. So the first thing I want to do here is let's do some upgrading. Since I've been doing the events and the refineries on a regular basis, I do have a nice little surplus. I've got 700,000 ship parts here. So let's go ahead. And again, the first tier is just taking 4-star commons as well as these ship parts. You need about 200,000, I think is what we figured out, to finish tier 1. And I had about 700,000, so I should be able to get through tier 1 and hopefully tier 2. By the way, the base warp range on this ship is okay. There are researches that boost it, as well as my own personal abilities between Kirk and research that gives me the extra 25. So we're starting at 197, which is fine because this thing isn't going to be strong enough to kill too many higher level hostiles right away. It's not like I'm going to go out and start killing 60s. Like, yeah, I've got the Eviscerator. It's like, it's tier 1, dude. You got to get it up a little bit first. All right, so let's tier this up. And let's go back and check our refinery, because sometimes when we tier up the ship, it resets refinery options, right? This refinery changed. You'll notice that now it cost me 800 per chest, and now I get a little bit more in terms of the recruits available here. So I guess I could have, if I had enough materials, I could have done a double pull there. This one now at tier 2 is throwing a little bit of uncommon my way. So that's another option if I want to start getting 4-star uncommon ship parts. This would be another way to source that. And this stuff is all ops driven. Actually, I'm surprised I didn't do these already. I must have forgotten to do them this morning. So let's just go ahead and knock those out real quick right now. Cool. All right, nothing else changed here. GP says it takes forever to get to tier 7 and you barely use it. Well, that's what we're going to find out. That's what we're going to find out. Oh, our invasion, okay. So we got it up to tier 2. Let's see if we can't get it to tier 3. Again, still just using commons. No actual 4-star parts of significance yet. Okay, so we managed to do that, and we can take it to tier 3. And because I'm impatient, we're just going to speed this along. All right, so that's going to be probably about it. We're probably going to be out of parts now. So this is requiring that Axion engine. Interestingly enough, each part now requires this. That does seem a little annoying that it's not unlike like other ships where it's one component is sort of ops locked or whatever, and you have to do this thing to get, or do this refinery to get this piece unlocked. The fact that everything seems to require one, it's kind of some BS. You need all 8. There are 8 components, and every one of them requires one of these Axion Engine Tier 4 parts. That is certainly a unique twist about the Gorn Eviscerator. So I guess I got to go into my refinery here and go over to my Axion Engine, and I need my tier 4 parts, and I need 8 of them. Okay. They cost 1,000 a piece, which isn't terrible in the grand scheme of things, considering the components cost like 20 to 30,000 a piece. So relatively speaking, 1,000 a piece is not a high value, but they are certainly, it's ops locked already. So why am I also paying for it? Does sort of, it's one of those weird things, right? You ops lock the component like you do for all the other ships, right? You have to hit a certain ops range to upgrade your Franklin or your Talios or your Defiant, all those things, right? They're all ops locked. So why am I paying for like 8 individual components? But I guess, you know, since the value is low, it's only 1,000. It's all relative. All right, so we got our 8 parts. I can keep buying more if I want to, but I don't really need them to. Hopefully those refinery options go away if I progress it any further. Now we're talking about using a little bit of 4-star uncommon material here. The cargo bay doesn't require it, so we're going to do that one now. The warp engine doesn't require it, so let's do that one. And I think I'm probably out. Yeah, I'm out of these components. Okay, so we can't do any of those. So only the weapons over here require 4-star uncommon crystal. So I could have done the defensive stuff a little bit. And we are going to take this up to at least level 10, because that should unlock my second below deck officer slot. Yes, that's fine. Okay, we got our second below deck officer slot. Now we're looking at 430% extra isolytic damage and just shy of 8,200% of an Apex Isomatter bonus. So let's take this thing for a spin. We're going to leave the doctor on there so I try and do some damage mitigation. A little extra damage mitigation because I don't know how this is going to go. And we're just going to go start with, let's go start with like 46s. That might be way too low, but let's go start with it. And we're not going to use any like jump drive or anything like that for a second. What's up, Export? They make you pay for those parts? They do, yeah. It's a little unusual that they kind of put that in there, but I don't know. I guess they're trying to sort of distinguish this ship a little bit from the other ones to make it not just as cookie cutter as every single other specialty ship that they put in the game. So I've got very little Apex Isomatter. So this, and now my refinery has gone up again. Now instead of being 800 per pull, it's 1,000 per pull. I'm getting a little bit more in terms of ship parts. Recruits and Apex parts are still the same. The cephalocask is still the same. So it's just, I'm getting a little bit more ship parts now. Okay. So ideally, I want to be doing at least double pulls, if not triple pulls of this. It's going to give me more parts to level up the ship faster, give me more of these parts, which I can hopefully convert later, and give me some of these Apex recruits to swap out for officers. Now that my ship is at tier 3, I am still getting uncommons, but the amounts have increased. It's a 2 chests for 300. So I feel like it was 1 chest for 300 before. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I wasn't paying that close of attention. Research also requires ship parts. It does. It does. We're going to look at the research in just a second. So let's look at some 46s real quick. They're 13 million power. I'm 24 million power. These things should be dropping 30 of the old and 7 of the new. And what did we get? We got 33 of the old, but instead of getting 7 of the new, I got 579 because of that loot multiplier being like 8,000%. So that was pretty successful, and obviously I still have a few levels to spare here. So we're just going to grab a couple of these. And to be honest, the fact that I'm getting like 8,000% bonus on Apex Isomatter, I almost don't feel like I want to use Loot Crew. Because what are you getting? You're getting an extra like 100%, 150% by having certain officers on board when you're already getting an 8,000% bonus. So I almost feel like I would feel more comfortable actually having this like a Janeway PvE hostile crew, because I'm probably going to be able to get more kills than I would. Let's go up to the 49s. Let's see what happens. Now, it does help the other side of it. It does help balance the other side out of it a little bit. So instead of getting 30, you know, I've got a slight little extra from the research. But that's the other thing, too. Like some of this research that you can look at here in the Starship tree, all the way at the end. You've got the ability to get more of the volatile. That's the second one, right? That's the original one. The Apex is what the ship already has the ability for. This additional one is going to boost the other one. So this will also help you either get more value out of your loot crew because now you're getting 200 or 300%, or you could say, well, I don't need loot crew. I can simply just rely on these extra bonuses I'm getting from these researches instead. Take this extra, 25, 30% here, get a couple levels of this and get 20 or 30% here. And it's like, well, there's 60% right there. Either with loot crew, it gets me to like 200%, or without loot crew, it's like, it's still good enough. The other research here also boosts your warp range. It's 20 per level, so this one's not bad to work on leveling up. Of course, the info button doesn't seem to want to work now, but hey, what fun would that be? All right, so let's try on some 49s. These aren't that much bigger. These guys are 22 million. And they're supposed to be giving me 50 and 9. And instead we should be getting like 55 and then like a couple hundred. 55 and 745. Now remember, I only need 1,000 for a single chest pull. So basically just 2 or 3 kills. And I'm getting enough to do the other pull. So you can try using loot crew. You got 2 options here basically if you're going to do these hostiles, right? You use loot crew. So you make sure, and you do some of the research to make sure you maximize getting both of these materials as much as you can with your Eviscerator. Or you take your Eviscerator, you kill certain hostiles, and stock up on the Apex for the left half of the refinery. And then you just swap to your regular ship and you go kill what you're normally killing to stock up on materials to get the volatile for the right half of your refinery. Until you get your Eviscerator higher and can actually use it to do both. Probably going to take a little while unless you're willing to spend some money investing in it and unlock additional research, or tier the ship up higher. Probably worth waiting. Ooh, I died. I wasn't expecting that. What did I hit? Interesting. I thought I had enough health left for that one, but okay, I guess not. Okay. Let's repair. That's part of the issue too. So, let's flip this up a little bit. These guys are in the wrong slots. Let's try this a little differently. And Data was on a different ship who was deployed earlier, so let's flip them around too. That should probably work a little better. And just because we can, what are we at? So we're using a good amount of ship XP now over level 10 here. We're talking about 200k per level, and that's going to continue to scale up. This is a G4 epic ship, so it's certainly going to require some scaling here. Let's see what we got for our refinery now, though. But I do have enough. I can do a 3 chest pull on this. Sure, why not? Let's get some ship parts going. Let's get 27,000 ship parts off of that to help us move this thing along faster. You can also turn some of those extra Apex isomatter into this Axion plasma. And this is what you use to do spatial rifts. So you can open more of the rifts for you to jump places or for your alliance mates to follow you places. Did I go 2 rounds or 1 on that fight? It went 2 rounds. It did go to round 2. Now you'll notice these also have abilities. Piercing stats increased. Let's go back and try this again. All right. Let's see if this goes a little bit better. First off, not having Q in the right slot. That's my fault. That was a mistake. I'm just not used to having to worry about what order those 3 guys below decks are in, but new ship, should have paid more attention. Hey, what do you know? This is working a little bit better. It's amazing what happens when you put people in the right spots. Only going 1 round this time. She's actually applying hull breach. He was actually applying criticals. Hey, there's 173 million critical. That's kind of what's supposed to happen. They're doing some damage hitting the shields here, but as you can see, I'm well stocking up on this Apex isomatter stuff. Still short on the volatile, so this is when you have to sort of evaluate. Do you want to keep going up higher and higher and trying to get more Apex off of targets? Or is that where, you know what, I just use the Eviscerator, I stock up 2 or 3 hulls worth of the Apex, and then I'm good for a few days, a few weeks, however much I stock up on it, and then I just use my normal ship to come back and kill the regular ones and stock up on the volatile isomatter instead? Or do I rank down and just go hit like 46s or 43s, right? Is that what the other ones are, 43s? Yeah. And just, you know, spend a lot more time out here. I mean, the thing has 2 million cargo capacity. Take full loot crew and just go, we'll do that next. Take full loot crew and just try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Not have to make multiple trips, not have to do multiple hull runs, one for a particular type of loot. I think for a lot of people it's going to depend on the tier of their ship, the level of their officers that they have access and availability to, the level of their Eviscerator, right, in terms of what they, and their research and their ops level and all those other fun variables that go into those things. Now, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't Chapels have an ability against these guys? If you can't fit her below decks because you have a shortage of officer slots, you do also have the ability here. She's giving you the amount of volatile isomatter that you get. That's the other one, right? That's the first one, the OG one. That's giving you a 50% bump. at tier 2, depending on the tier of your officer. This might be better in that third slot of your loot crew than, say, 5 of 11. Again, it's going to depend on the tier of your officers. So keep that in mind. But if you're going to go Picard, Data, and then either Chapel or 5 of 11 in that extra slot. So we're mostly dead here, but again, 15,000 Apex Isomatters is a pretty good haul. That's at least a couple days worth of 3 chest pulls. What's up, Carissa? Welcome on in. You are going to Ops 60 this weekend, and you're going to build an Enterprise D? That seems awfully quick. What, weren't you just like 56, 57 not too long ago? Barkman bringing up the logical argument that perhaps you can squeeze an even slightly bigger percentage out of things if you go with Picard 5 of 11 and Chapel. That could potentially work too. Because Enterprise E Picard's base captain's ability is a 60% bonus, so instead of getting a 40% bonus from the synergy of Data, now the difference is that 10% extra increase worth losing Data's 30% bonus of isolytic, because these things only take damage from isolytic. So technically you can get a higher percentage, but you're also sacrificing for that extra 10%. I'd be sacrificing Data's isolytic cascade damage bonus. And to me, that extra small little 10% is not worth losing all the extra damage. And my 5 of 11 here is tier 4, so it's 80%. So we're going to take 5 of 11 over here. And we're going to do that. Since I don't feel like waiting, let's jump out there. Carissa, you're currently still 56. Okay, good. I'm like, how long was I gone? I feel like Han Solo over here waking up and everybody's having these delusions of grandeur. You're going to just blast it all out all the way to 60? Okay. Fleet Commander Lorca is stupidly amazing. I've heard he's got some good abilities, but didn't have too much time to take a look at him. And again, since he's currently pay only, I'm not going to be getting him for a while. So this should have been 50 and 9, and instead I got 145 and 900. And we didn't take all that much damage in this particular fight either. We're taking a good chunk of shield damage, but we're not taking a whole lot of hull damage. That's kind of the important part while we're still building up here. We are killing it in round 1 still. Basically, I get shot once, Hugh gives me a crit bonus, and then next time I get to shoot, I do a crap ton of damage and kill the thing. Barkman agrees some may have a higher tiered chapel, though. Yes, if you have a higher tiered chapel, obviously based on the tier of your officers, you're going to have to play around with them to find the percentages that work best for your account. The ship ability boosts ISO damage so much the Data may not matter. Also a potential possibility. The ship doesn't boost it as much as it does the other things, right? Let's go look at, did I keep that up? Probably not, because that would have been smart. Oh, I did keep it up, because I'm smart. So right now we're up here, we're like tier 430% bonus. And now we're getting, we're getting into these tiers here. We're over 500%. But this is 500% base isolytic damage. And data is not base isolytic damage. Data is isolytic cascade damage, which multiplies your total damage, including your isolytic. So you're getting the bonus from the ship, and then data's just smacking a big 30% on top of the whole thing. So I'm feeling like having data there is definitely worth it. And we can kind of go back and take a look at this. What did I just kill? An Acronath earlier? Let's go back to the early ones. When I didn't have data, I just had Picard, who's a little bit smaller, only giving you a little bit of cascade there. We're talking about small little points of damage here. And even my criticals, 15 and 85 million, are the damage on the criticals there. And now because of that cascade, and again, moving Q around certainly helps with that. See, now we threw data in there. And now because of its bigger cascade, even the base shot is doing 12 million instead of like 9 million. And we are getting some of those bigger shots with him, so I do feel like Data's earning his spot for sure. Also, Barkman, thank you very much for the 25 bits. Very much appreciate that as well. Lloydson says Tibbs is the math guy. He can figure it out. Well, yeah, it's kind of what we just took a little look at there. He just needs shield transfer, so Strange New World Pike might work better. Could potentially, if you're dumping more damage into the shields, you could live a little longer, so you'll get more kills. And again, if you have the research done and you don't need the loot crew, you can certainly play around with that kind of stuff. If you do still need the loot crew, or if you're just trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and not have to make multiple trips, you've got some flexibility there in terms of what you're doing. Kaflias, you're level 39. You still have your refinery at 34. Is there any profit leveling the building to 34? Like you're talking about the actual refinery building? It doesn't change anything. The refinery building does nothing. It's basically just another prerequisite for leveling up other stuff. Most of all of your refinery options and things, all the things in here, are all based on your operations level. The actual refinery doesn't trigger any of that. But it will eventually be a prerequisite. And it may be a restriction. It may not let you go to 40 if it's still not caught up. I don't know exactly offhand what those requirements are, but yeah, Chris is right. Eventually they make you do it. Eventually they put a roadblock in where it's like, oh, you know, in order to do the shipyard, your refinery has to be level 42 or whatever. And you're like, oh, I haven't upgraded this thing in months. Well, you're going to catch up now, so. Darth says the refinery adds to efficiencies when you get into the 60s, into G6. Okay. Because right now it's got a whole lot of nothing going on here. But it won't let me see above 60 because I'm not there yet. So I guess when you get into Sigma, there's some extra little bonuses for you. Good to know. All right, but I think that's the bulk of what the Eviscerator does and how this whole refinery thing looks and works. So I just wanted to give everybody at least a little bit of a preview of what that's looking like, so you make sure you've got yourself plenty of Eviscerator parts. You're figuring out what you're going to need in terms of both Apex and Volatile and how you're going to source it. And like any specialty ship, it's going to take a few tiers before it becomes your default use option. So